There's a town in America that's been on fire for over 60 years. Not the buildings, but the very ground beneath it. It's a place that was literally swallowed by the earth, leaving behind cracked roads, empty lots, and a never-ending haze of smoke. But that's not the scariest part. The real horror is what people say lurks within that smoke. Something that watches, waits, and sometimes takes. This is the real story of Centralia, America's most haunted town. Centralia, Pennsylvania, is a name you won't find on most modern maps. Today, it's a ghost town, a network of empty, buckled streets cutting through overgrown forests. But back in the early 1960s, Centralia was alive. It was a bustling mining community, fueled by anthracite coal and the spirit of its people. Families knew each other, kids played in the streets, and the town had a heartbeat. Then, in the summer of 1962, a fire started. It began small, in a coal dump near an abandoned mine. At first, no one thought much of it. A little smoke, a faint crackling sound from deep underground. But this fire was different. It latched on to the vast coal seams running beneath the town like veins, and it began to spread. Attempts to put it out failed. Nobody could have imagined that this small fire would burn for decades, growing into something that felt almost alive. By the late 1960s, the town began to change. Strange things started happening. Smoke would hiss from cracks in the sidewalks and roads. Sometimes it was a thick white fog, other times a dark, oily haze with a sickly sweet, metallic smell. Children started reporting hallucinations, shadows moving just at the edge of their vision, dark figures darting through the smoke. The adults tried to explain it away. Poisonous gases, like carbon monoxide, can cause illusions, right? But even they couldn't shake the unnerving feeling of being constantly watched. Animals seemed to know something was wrong. Dogs and cats would refuse to go down certain streets, growling at things no one could see. One of the eeriest stories from that time came from a man named Harold Thompson. He claimed that one morning he saw a faint, glowing light rising from a crack in the road near his house. As he got closer, he felt an intense wave of heat, but when he reached the spot, there was nothing there. Later that day, he noticed his neighbor was gone. Just vanished. No note, no car packed, nothing. As the years went on, reports of disappearances became more frequent. Entire families would just leave overnight, driven away by the smoke, the smell, and the creeping dread. The fire wasn't just creating a sense of horror, it was physically tearing the town apart. As the coal burned away underground, the ground above became unstable. Streets buckled and split open. Giant, gaping holes would appear without warning, swallowing cars and anything else in their path. Houses started to collapse. By 1980, the government finally stepped in, realizing Centralia was no longer safe for human life, and began relocating the remaining residents. But even as the people left, the fire stayed. And as the town emptied, the paranormal stories only grew more intense. Visitors and former residents, returning to see their old homes, started reporting strange things, whispers heard from inside empty houses. The ghostly laughter of children echoing down deserted streets. Some claimed they saw fleeting glimpses of people in the windows of abandoned buildings, figures of those long gone, trapped in some kind of eerie, repeating echo of their lives. Perhaps the most chilling phenomenon is the smoke itself. Countless witnesses have described seeing shapes and figures forming within the mist. One man, visiting in the early 2000s, saw what looked like a person kneeling beside a fissure in the road. As he walked toward it, the figure vanished, but he found footprints not in the dirt, but burned directly into the asphalt. Another story comes from a former Centralia teacher named Margaret Hill. Years after the town was evacuated, she returned to visit the old school where she taught. The building was decaying and silent, but she swore she heard a voice call her name. She followed the sound to the gymnasium. Inside, a single beam of sunlight cut through the darkness, and the dust in the air was swirling in a strange, unnatural pattern. For a brief second, she saw a young girl standing in the center of the gym, just staring at her. Then the girl blinked, and Margaret realized she was looking at her own reflection in a broken mirror. But it was distorted, older, and twisted with an expression she couldn't explain. Locals also talk about the roads. Cars would suddenly stall for no reason when driving near the fissures. People reported feeling invisible hands, tugging at their door handles, or even grabbing the steering wheel. It became a chillingly common local legend that some people just vanished into the smoke and were never seen again. Now, scientists have explanations for some of this. Coal seam fires release a cocktail of toxic gases: carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, methane. These gases are known to cause hallucinations, dizziness, and phantom sensations of heat or light. But science can't explain everything. It can't explain the stories of people having premonitions of events that later came true, or the sightings of specific residents who had moved away decades earlier. Skeptics call it coincidence, but many who live there are convinced the fire itself is unnatural, that it's something that remembers. This fire is one of the longest burning in the world. Experts estimate it has enough fuel to keep burning for another 250 years. It may not be spreading quickly across the surface, but it continues to warp the land, seep smoke, and, as some believe, hold the town's ghost in a state of limbo. Today, Centralia is a shadow of its former self. Only a handful of residents remain. The streets are broken, the post office is abandoned, and warning signs are posted everywhere. Yet, tourists and thrill seekers still come, drawn by the chilling tales. They often leave with a deep sense of unease, a feeling that the town itself was aware of their presence. You can still see the smoke curling up from cracks in the ground. And sometimes, visitors report hearing that faint laughter on the wind, or the unsettling feeling of being followed. Cameras mysteriously malfunction, radios fill with static, and GPS signals go haywire. There's a persistent legend that if you walk down the main street, the town feels alive, that when you stop, it stops, and when you run, it chases you. Some of the most famous reports come from investigators. A journalist filming a documentary in 1998 captured footage of faint silhouettes moving through the smoke silhouettes of people that should have been there. When he tried to leave, the road seemed to stretch on forever. It took him nearly an hour to find his way out. In 2010, a group of urban explorers reported hearing footsteps and whispers echoing through the empty houses. One of them saw the clear figure of a man in an old-fashioned coal miner-esque uniform staring at them from a window. When they went to investigate, he was gone, but a single, dusty boot print was left on the floor. So, what is really going on in Centralia? One theory is that the intense energy of the fire and the trauma of the town's death has trapped the memories of its past inhabitants, creating a paranormal imprint. Another, more out there theory suggests the fire created a dimensional rift, a crack in reality that allows echoes of the past to bleed through. But the most terrifying theory is that the fire itself is a sentient entity, a conscious being that is slowly consuming the town, aware of everything, and choosing when to claim a life. I spoke with a man named Daniel, whose grandparents were among the last to leave. He told me he woke up one night to the smell of smoke, even though their house had no fireplace. He saw his grandmother sitting by the window, staring out into the dark. She whispered, "It's here. It remembers us." Years later, Daniel returned with friends to film the town. He said they were followed by shadows in the smoke, with the sound of footsteps just behind them. When they watched their footage back, a single frame showed a figure standing in the middle of the road. It wasn't moving, but its eyes seemed to glow with a faint red light. Centralia is a haunting legacy, a cautionary tale of industrial disaster, but also a chilling mystery. The roads are officially closed, but the stories keep drawing people in. Viral videos shows smoke rising from the asphalt, with viewers claiming to see faces in the mist or shadows moving where they shouldn't. Paranormal investigators who have spent the night there have recorded audio of whispers, footsteps, and even voices calling out their names. In the end, Centralia is more than just a ghost town. It's a place that proves that even when people are gone, a location can hold on to their memory. Whether it's toxic gas, a subterranean fire, or something truly beyond our understanding, the town holds the essence of the lives it once supported. The smoke that curls from the ground might be hiding more than just burning coal. It might be hiding the past, the echoes of those who vanished, and maybe it's still watching. If you ever walk those abandoned streets, listen closely. That sound might not just be the wind. It might be the town itself, remembering you, waiting, and maybe deciding if it wants to keep you, too. Some say Centralia was swallowed by fire. Others say it swallows souls. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as chilling as I did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more dives into the world's darkest mysteries.